Quinn, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
And thanks for sending us great students over the years.
Oh
Truly.
man. It's we're all peas in a pod. So we love you, you love us. It's great. I think one of the things I want to start with is that a lot of too many people, in my opinion, don't know about UNCSA, or for some reason it's not on the list initially when people come to us and ask, what school should I apply to? Here's my list as of now. I'm like, where's UNCSA?
Yeah.
So I like to call UNCSA the best underrated, the most underrated top drama school in the
Yeah.
world. Um, I want to give the floor to you, but for everyone who's listening, this is Quinn Gordon, uh, really integral to the fabric of UNCSA's leadership, an absolutely outstanding person. We have mutual friends, and everyone speaks very glowingly of what you do and who you are. So thank you for your contribution.
Thank you. It's humbling. Yes, I teach acting and directing at the UNC School of the Arts, School of Drama, and I also serve as director of recruitment. So I see every single audition for our program, usually numbering somewhere around 800 a cycle for 30-ish spots.
Yeah, and hey, if you're listening to that, you should be excited because those are good. As selective as that is, and it is selective, the talent is outstanding at UNCSA. It's not those application numbers should easily be doubled,
Yeah.
for the caliber of training this is. So I'd love to give you the floor and just talk about, UNCSA for maybe those who don't know, maybe the newest person in the room who's a sincerely hungry, talented actor who maybe really benefit from this type of training.
Yeah. I'll talk about some of the distinguishing features of our school. Students that are looking at BFA programs like ours will, as you sit through school's information sessions or you glean what you can on their websites, you'll see a lot of similarities between us, but there are some key distinctions. I'd say first and foremost, the fact that we are the first and still only publicly supported standalone arts conservatory in the country makes us really unique. What that really means is that when you're on our campus, you're only surrounded by your fellow artists. Every student, every faculty member, even a lot of the staff come from an arts background, and it's what drew them to the School of the Arts in the first place. So it's a little different than going to a conservatory within the context of a larger university, like Mason Gross at Rutgers or the School of Drama at Carnegie, wherein you have things like football games or Greek life. We have none of that. We only have our art. 5 schools on campus: School of Drama, obviously, School of Dance, School of Design and Production, which we work very closely with. They design all of our main stage shows and run all of our shows. We're a little different than some schools where drama and D&P are 2 separate schools. Usually they're under one umbrella, drama, but we work very well and closely with School of Design Production. School of Music and the School of Filmmaking, which we also work very closely with. I'd say one of the biggest selling points about my institution is the fact that we share a campus with a highly ranked School of Filmmaking. The vast majority of our students participate in student film productions over the course of their 4 years, and it's really win-win all around. Our students get experience being on set. Their students get access to absolutely the finest acting talent in the area. And our students begin to develop relationships with the filmmakers of tomorrow. There are School of Filmmaking alumni in the motion picture industry, entertainment industry, that still hire School of Drama alumni from their era in their films because those relationships started on our campus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Um,
Bondison is a friend.
oh, sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know you're an alum, and so there's just a lot of connections, and Quinn is definitely. I'm seeing all my friends who graduated from UNCSA, and it's like that's exactly what they say about the program too. So this is not, yeah, I can verify for sure that the reputation is as stellar as you're making it sound. And I think that's awesome that it's publicly funded and you guys are able to really tailor the experience towards what it is the students want. Um, Now, don't get me wrong. There are some students, for sure, who really value having more of a college experience with Greek
Yeah,
life and
yeah,
football.
it's
Right?
not for
That's
everybody.
not necessarily the type of people you want to recruit. So, as a director of recruitment, tell us a little bit about what your bullet points are in terms of who you're looking for. What you
Well,
look for.
I'll say it sort of relates back to the fact that we are publicly funded. Because of that, our tuition is considerably less than many of our private peer institutions. So, rankings are really silly, but the one ranking that we take that we're pretty proud of is the Hollywood Reporters, which ranked us number 3 drama school in the world last year. And take them with a grain of salt. But if you look at the entirety of that list, we are by far the most cost-effective option on that list. Um,
Full
Out-of-state
stop.
tuition
Did
is,
everyone hear that? Most cost effective. Gotta
yeah,
love that. And it's true. It's
yeah.
not even close.
Out-of-state tuition is right around $24,000 a year. If you happen to be a North Carolina resident, it's just over $6,000 a year. Or if you happen to be a graduate of one of the School of the Arts high school programs, you get to attend any one of the 17 UNC system schools tuition free. So you might want to think about moving to North Carolina. And then because of that, I'd say we're able to attract a cohort each year from the entirety of the socioeconomic strata. And we actually feel that it's to everyone's benefit that our student body be surrounded and in training with a wide variety of stories in the room. We feel it's to everyone's benefit. So I'll give you a sense of the strata that we'll have in the incoming class. We have one student that has just completed his military service. And then we have another student who's completing her tenure as Miss Universe for her country of origin. So that's the strata right there. Again, a wide
That's
variety
amazing.
of stories in any
Yeah, a lot of different
classroom.
stories. And, inevitably, for those of you who are just discovering what it means to collaborate with such a diverse cohort, you know, the way someone approaches the work can be enlightening to you as an observer. The way someone handles feedback can be enlightening to you as an observer. As artists, we steal things that we like. We take flavors from other people, obviously in healthy ways. That you know, being around the same people can't really foster.
Well,
So I know that it's innate for a lot of artists to really value and be curious about different stories and voices and backgrounds, but you can hear from the leadership down at North Carolina, it's really baked into the training, which is awesome.
well, it just also allows us to program a wide variety of stories on our stages and for our audiences, again, which is to everyone's benefit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You were talked a little bit about the moving to North Carolina and the community. I totally would consider moving to North Carolina if I was a youngster looking to train there. It's such a big cost difference. I love that.
Yeah,
But talk to us, each institution location is a big deal for
yeah,
a lot. It's a big consideration, I should say, for a lot of these incoming applicants. Sorry. What can you tell us about the location? Actually, there's two questions. It's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So talk to us about why that area is attractive to
sure.
artists. And then two, um, how does UNCSA kind of support the students contributing to the community outside of the walls of the
Sure.
school?
Um, the cool thing about School of the Arts is it's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, because the people of Winston-Salem, North Carolina wanted it there. Over 60 years ago, when the bond was passed at the state level to form the Arts Conservatory of the American South, cities and towns from all over the state lobbied to bring the School of the Arts to its borders, but the people of Winston lobbied hardest. And over the course of 3 days and a bunch of phone calls, they managed to raise $1 million, offered up a disused high school building, which formed the early beginnings of the school. And from that one building, our entire jewel of a campus has grown. There's a ton of infrastructure investment actually that's happened in the last decade on our campus. We just opened 2 years ago a $46 million project, our brand new college dormitory. So we're actually investing, the state of North Carolina is investing in our students. And if you think of our school as sort of like D1 for artists, it's important that we take care of our D1 artists. We just did a major renovation on our performance venue, Performance Place, which houses 3 different theaters. So students encounter a variety of performing spaces over the course of their 4 years with us. And that's, I think, something to look at as students are like looking at programs, see where the money is going and what's being invested in. And there's been a lot of investment in our students in the last decade. In terms of the town itself, the School of the Arts sits on one hill. You go 2 miles north and downtown is on the next hill. And the downtown has had a lot of investment in the last couple decades, actually. We're very close to Wake Forest University, which is in the suburban ring of the city. They've invested a ton of money into downtown. And I'd say the aesthetic of the city itself is sort of like post-industrial repurposing of industries which are no longer in the city. The city was sort of founded on the tobacco and textile industries. They're gone. I'd say the major industries now are education, because you have Wake Forest, us, Winston-Salem State University, which is the oldest HBCU in the state, all within miles of each other. And then medical, because Wake Forest has a med school. Everything around the medical industry is a big industry within our town. And the downtown's great. It's got some cool hipster coffee shops and some nice restaurants our students never have time to go to anyway. And I'd say the biggest kind of plus about all that, we realize that our students aren't being trained in, like, say, Lower Manhattan. And because of that, they're really able to focus on their training for 4 years. Lower Manhattan's not going anywhere. A lot of our students go to New York upon graduation. But for 4 years, I think it's really important that, for our students anyway, that they're able to get away from some distractions, really just focus on their training for 4 years. And it's tough, you know? The day is long. The closest thing we liken it to would be going to medical school or law school or Division I athletics in terms of the rigor, singularity, and focus. As you know, you went to Juilliard, you know, the day is long. So I actually think it's really conducive to our students' training. And for our students that I recruit from New York, like from LaGuardia, I think it's been really good for them to get out of a major entertainment market for 4 years and not worry about the business so much, really just focus on getting prepared to enter the industry.
Right, right. In my professional career and sort of since graduating, I've definitely noticed or I've been surprised in a good way at how rich artistically that area is, specifically even in North Carolina. That is the pocket you want to be in. I think there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of money being invested into the arts. And also I guess the medical field, which is interesting to learn. But yeah, it's definitely not some sort of secondary priority in that
Yeah.
community. And Playmakers Rep is near there, right?
Yeah, that's in Chapel Hill, so about 100 miles away. I won't lie, the school sort of is the artistic center of the town. And amongst the 5 schools, we end up producing hundreds of performances over the course of a school year. So you're never like in want of art. You're immersed entirely in art over the course of 4 years.
That's actually pretty interesting because in professional gigs outside of major markets, you kind of realize when you perform for those audiences, this is like this city's offering. We are the thing that entertains this community. And I guess when you're going to school at UNCSA, you kind of realize like the performances that the public is invited to, that's their offering for that community. I mean, they could go 100 miles to somewhere else, but it's kind of cool to be that for a community.
Yeah. Yeah, and the community really supports us. Most of our shows sell out. They're always well attended. We have a lot of donors within the community. We try, you mentioned in terms of work and community engagement, we try and give back in ways that we can. We have a program called Artist Corps that takes small student-led productions to some of the underserved public schools around in the surrounding areas, oftentimes elementary schools, so
That's cool.
we can introduce them to the arts and the theater from an early age.
Yeah, I know that's important. Having programs and I guess nonprofits inside of the university that students can participate in or contribute to that really take them outside the walls. For a lot of people, that's really meaningful.
One other thing I'd like to mention, because I assume a lot of your audience is probably heavily looking at musical theater programs, and a lot of young people first find acting through musical theater. The cool thing about our program, and we're pretty unique in this sense, is you don't have to choose one or the other There are no acting tracks, MT tracks. Everybody takes singing. That isn't to say we haven't graduated many competitive Broadway musical singer actors. We have, again, we don't separate out tracks. And what we're sneakily doing is all of our classes are acting classes, and there are a lot of great MT programs out there that will really prepare you to enter the course of a Broadway musical. But what we're sneakily doing is preparing leads for the Broadway musical theater stage, and that tends to be where you see the majority of our alumni representation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is
you
cool.
don't have
Yeah, I love that. And I appreciate you calling that out because it is a distinction and it's cool. You can sense when you're listening to Quinn, the focus of the program and, where the program might be. I want to talk about some of the artistic qualities because
yeah,
that's really what we get juiced by as artists and looking at drama schools. Is this really going to make me a better artist? Is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? Who am I going to be surrounded by? Faculty, students, guest directors. Is this really going to be a transformative 4 years? And uh, communities can put a lot of money into a program. There's so many things that we've talked about that anyone can do. But why is UNCSA artistically a standout? What do you guys, it's been for so long. So
yeah.
you're doing something right.
I'd say the secret strength of the school is that we're a school of methods, not a single methodology. Meaning that all the all the faculty come from a variety of training backgrounds and professional experiences. Um, and and so we're not just teaching one way of working, although we share a few core values. And what naturally happens over the course of 4 years is our students will synthesize everything that worked for them into a process that is highly personal to them and works for them. And I actually think that's the secret strength of the school.
It's a hard line to ride, right? Because
Yeah,
there's a part of there's a part of the leadership that wants to be like, this is a technique that works. It's
yeah,
timeless. But at the same time, you know that each individual is a unique individual and
yep,
art is it's an expressive practice from the inside out. So it's like,
yeah,
how do we blend that? And you have to have some really expert leadership and patience and passion for the craft to like
yeah.
let someone's art and process flourish.
I actually don't think any one actor works quite like any other, honestly. Even actors that come from the same training backgrounds, I think it's such, you know, our art is unique in that it's the voice, the body, the lived experience, the role gets sort of funneled through those things.
Yeah.
And so it's naturally just a very personal art. And I feel like an actor's process is personal too, and that I like that we train with that in mind, that again, each student is going to develop their own unique process over the course of 4 years.
And how does that translate into a curriculum? Like, because obviously you have this idea, this concept a little bit that we've talked about, but then you have to also tell them what classes to go to and when,
Sure.
and that reflects your priority as a school. So, like, what am I taking as a student over the course of these years?
Yeah, I can sort of go through the acting curriculum. This is a model that's been around for a long time, but a third of your classes address your vocal instrument, third of your classes address your physical instrument, and a third of your classes address the acting instincts themselves. So you sort of look at it as mind, body, and voice. Because for the actor, again, the voice and the body are the instruments. So we spend a lot of time honing, shaping, creating greater expressivity in your natural physical instrument, so that you're in touch with your own impulse. In terms of the acting curriculum, and so the movement includes things like mask and movement improvisation, which has been at the heart of the program for a long time, again, connecting to the physical impulse. Things like dance, which is going to be a little more prescriptive, but also has an element of improv so that you learn how your body moves. And you go through a variety of theatrical styles, mostly geared towards the Broadway musical theater stage, but also elements of modern ballet as part of the warm-up. So if somebody starts speaking French to you in an audition room, or you know what the words mean. And then stage combat, which is a big part of the movement progression. It's probably the most robust stage combat program in the country. And if you look at it, there is a ton of fighting on film and television. And so really training the next generation of Jedi and superhero at our school. The voice progression, variety of pedagogies. You go through a whole first year progression in the work of Kristen Linklater, which is all about, connecting the voice to your body. We introduced something called the International Phonetic Alphabet so that you learn how to break down an accent with precision and exactitude. Spend a lot of time with the IPA. And then singing is a big component of our voice curriculum. And then in third year, you have a Shakespeare class, which is a voice and an acting class as led by one of our voice teachers. Because if you can handle the words of Mr. Shakespeare, you can handle anything. In terms of the acting curriculum, it begins in first year. You work with 3 different acting teachers, including myself. We all come from a variety of backgrounds. My dear colleague Cliff Odell was a longtime Boston area playwright, so he really focuses on the building blocks of story in his acting class. My other colleague Claire Fort comes from the University of Washington MFA program, which is a very physical approach to acting. She introduces something called the viewpoints in her acting class. And then I studied with 3 old guys of the theater who are now deceased. A guy named George Morrison, who was the primary acting teacher for the American actors, Gene Hackman, Stanley Tucci, Edie Falco, Ving Rhames, a pretty famous guy named Paul Sills, who was the son of Viola Spolin, and he was the founder of the Second City in Chicago. Like half of SNL came through there. And then a guy named Mike Nichols, who was a pretty famous film and theater director. And a lot of what I teach, I learned from those 3 guys. I'm also an alum of the program, and our great faculty emerita, Tanya Belov, came from the great Russian tradition back in Moscow. Her primary acting teacher there was a student of Konstantin Stanislavski's. So I take the students through a whole progression in classic Stanislavski etudes, independent scenes wherein the actor has to bring themselves fully and truthfully to a fairly complicated given set of circumstances. And then that segues into a scene study class, which prepares you for second year in the curriculum, wherein every quarter you're working on a different play. You're broken up into small groups. At the end of each quarter, said play is presented, not performed, in our little acting studios under fluorescent lights like these, minimal set, minimal props, rehearsal clothing for costumes. And it's where you begin to work on the trajectory and arc of a character. The plays themselves have a trajectory as well. The first quarter is really something pretty close to you, bridging from first year contemporary realism. The second unit is also a contemporary play, but with some heightened theatricality to it. And this is an idiom that you see a lot of contemporary playwrights writing in. Think the plays of people like Jeremy O. Harris or Octavio Solis, Claire Barron. And then the third unit is a unit in period and style. Again, something more removed from yourself. So like last quarter, I was working on the a fairly newer adaptation by the American playwright Stephen Karam of Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard. Again, a little more removed. And then the fourth unit, which we're on now, is something highly theatrical, heightened, expressionistic, or absurdist in nature. So this unit, we're working on Ionesco's Exit the King, so that you learn to develop that the truth comes in all sizes on stage. I finally saw Greta Gerwig's Barbie over the winter break. I was like the last person in America to see it. And that film is absurdism to a T. It is funny, funny, funny until it's not. And I thought Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie were brilliant in it, but they're working in a very heightened style.
Yeah, I love that. It's always a negotiation for the artist and for all the artists as part of a production to sort of find the freedom within the form. You know,
Yeah,
you can't rob the art of its form and kind of just be you all the time, but you also can't abandon yourself and just, you know, be some sort of two-dimensional version of a form. You know, it's like, how do I acknowledge what is required by the writing, but also have this authenticity and fun with it?
that's right. And it's like everything we do is around employability, and we just want to make our students as employable as possible, able to work in all different kinds of mediums, all different kinds of material,
I know
and
you're really proud of that, and I love that the school is really proud of, um, I guess, graduating students who have the ability to work in all different industries. Let's talk about that for a second,
yeah,
because this is kind of a hot topic with a lot of applicants, and rightly so. Hey, if I'm spending all this time and this money going to this great program, you know, I get that I'm going to improve my craft, but how much is this program invested in my overall career success? Not that a program can make you successful, but you know, I think one like limited belief of some of these programs is that, you know, we're only here to help you with your art, and you having career success is kind of up to you. Okay,
yep,
that's one extreme. The other extreme is we're like overly responsive to whatever the industry trends are, and we're just constantly changing our program. We don't even have a groundedness in like what we view as good art, you know. And I think
sure.
what I want to say is, or what I want to ask is, given that a BFA, like a degree that comes out of these actors, I mean, the actors have this degree that is applicable in so many industries, not just film, theater,
Absolutely.
and TV, but we're talking commercials, like you said, stuntmen or fighters, or you know, even corporate speaking, industrials. There's voiceovers. I mean, it's unreal how much
Yeah.
money is out there for a degree like this. And so, how do you approach that conversation with students in terms of what does career success look like?
Great. First of all, we're not trying to train this kind of actor or that kind of actor. We're just trying to train a working actor. And we're very proud that, as you've alluded to, that we have alumni in all facets of the industry. We've graduated many working actors and directors, but also people that have ended up on the other side of the table, either in casting or talent agent, or as a talent agent or a manager. And then we have students who have gone into, totally different fields. But as you said, the skills that you acquire at a school like ours, ability to work in a group, creative thinking, public speaking, apply to like the lawyers that we've graduated and the business people that we've graduated.
Right.
Um, uh, and then, I'd say in terms of, I guess what you're getting at in terms of preparing for the industry while retaining the heart of the program like ours cannot remain static because the industry is constantly evolving. Um, we've just gone through one of the biggest changes the industry has ever gone through, probably since the invention of sound in motion pictures, and that's the internet, honestly, and
Yeah.
how streaming platforms have opened up so much content. We hit peak streaming a couple years ago, like right in the first year of the pandemic. Wherein there was something like over 600 scripted television series across all networks and streaming platforms. We've contracted some since to just around 500. That's still a ton of work for professional actors. And so a school like ours has to constantly be evolving to mirror the industry that we're trying to prepare our students for. Our on-camera training has really bulked up in the last 6 years. We're pretty unique in this way in that we weave it through all 4 years of the training program, because the reality is that you cannot be a professional actor in the 21st century without being really comfortable in front of a camera. Most auditioning is done via self-tape, and I'm not just talking like film and TV roles. A ton of theatrical roles are cast via self-tape, and so an actor has to be comfortable not only in front of the camera, but operating the camera as well. So we weave it through all 4 years so that our students can slip more seamlessly between mediums. Doesn't mean we're abandoning our stage training, because I actually believe there's a real difference between an actor that has been trained for the stage and one that has not, in terms of their connection to their instrument and their ability to connect physically and vocally to a role, even for the camera. And so again, constantly evolving. I'd say the other big thing that we've really put an emphasis on in the last decade is more and more student-driven work. In the old days of conservatory training, when I went to school, I think there was a real worry amongst faculty about students creating their own work because they didn't have control over it. We really value it because we now see that the kind of artist that the industry really embraces nowadays is the kind of artist that's much more self-generative, the content creators, if you will, the multi-hyphenates. Think the Lin-Manuel Mirandas of the world, the Michaela Coles, the Phoebe Waller-Bridges of the world. And so we want to train the kind of artist that isn't waiting around for opportunities to come to them, but rather is creating their own opportunities for them.
I want to ask about that, but before I do, I have to acknowledge that in terms of career connection between school and career, you have the most amount of showcases of any top drama school.
Yeah. We do 5 showcases. It's funny you're bringing up our senior class landed in New York yesterday morning, and right now they're probably in an entrance and exit rehearsal for their first showcase today, which will be at 1 o'clock. The 4th year, kind of to finish up acting curriculum, the first 2 years of the training program is really designed to get you ready to step out of on our main stage in 3rd and 4th year. Every semester of your 3rd and 4th year, you are cast in a main stage production. And casting is designed to give each student the exact challenge needed at the exact right moment. There's no auditioning. The day you audition for our school is sort of your last audition for us. And then 4th year is a real focus on getting ready to enter the profession. And how we do that is we bring down a whole series of guest artists from the industry itself, agents, managers, casting directors, to guide our students through a whole series of workshops and mock auditions. I lied, there are auditions, but they're in the 4th year business preparation class designed to get you ready to enter the industry. You also take an auditioning class in 4th year. And then so we do, and a lot of the 4th year is a focus on our showcase. Over the year, our students cull together scene after scene after scene, usually from contemporary film, TV, and theater, in order to eventually build the showcase, which is a series of short scenes and a few songs for the self-identified competitive singer-actor. Runs about an hour in length, and we're the only school that does this. As you mentioned, we take it to 4 different cities. We take it to Atlanta, which is a huge film and television hub, only about 6 hours away. And Atlanta's great. A lot of our students that have landed there, within a week, they have representation. Within a week, they're auditioning. Atlanta is a very saturated market in terms of work, but there isn't a lot of talent there. So our students that move to Atlanta end up working right away. We take it to Chicago, which is a more theater-centric town, but also some film and TV. And then to our 2 largest entertainment markets, New York and Los Angeles. And we spend a lot of time and investment in our showcase, so that our students not only does it open them up to opportunity, but they get a sense of where they kind of want to land after they leave us.
Yeah.
And it's presented to an audience of, again, agents, managers, casting directors, and other industry professionals. And we also do a virtual showcase, which is really a byproduct of the pandemic. But the reason we've kept it moving forward is it has such great outreach. So if an agent can't make our, Monday showcase in Midtown Manhattan at 5 o'clock, they can watch the showcase from their leisure at their nice upstate home on the weekend, and it also is a way for our students to showcase their great on-camera training as well.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think it's definitely a standout feature. So much of what you said is fantastic. When are you going to run the program?
We have a new dean coming in. I think they're going to announce it this week. I was on the search committee, so I'm certain it'll be someone really capable and interesting and exciting that will bring different strengths than Scott. I'll miss Scott dearly, Scott Ziegler, our current dean, but he's heading into retirement, and so we'll have somebody new coming in, and they'll have their own ideas and evolve the school forward even more.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I maybe should have had this conversation a week later than now, so we could, can you tell us anything about either who it is or the direction that they kind of want to take the school? And
Um,
is everything you said going to completely go out the window?
The only people that I know, unless there's chatter going, the only people that should know at this point would be our provost and our chancellor. So you'd have to ask them.
Got it. Got
But
it.
just based on the four finalists, I know it'll be someone exciting and capable.
Really cool. Well,
Yeah,
I guess we'll have to at least get a quick chat, a
yeah,
follow-up chat, maybe to tag at the end of this video to talk about
sure.
that. That is a huge change. And I know a lot of drama schools, for those listening, I don't even know one top drama school who has not had a change in
Yeah.
leadership in the last 5 years,
Yeah,
2018 or so.
it's the natural cycle of things. This is the end of my 10th year here, and the program will now be in its third dean over the course of that time, and I'd say the life of a dean is sort of like the life of a president. It's like 4 to 8 years, somewhere in there. And
It's intense.
it's funny. It seems like yesterday I was junior faculty, one of the youngest people here, and now over 10 years like that, I'm solidly mid-career to being one of the more senior people here. And the mid-career people end up running programs. That's what naturally happens. So,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
it's all the natural way of things.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the program. I'm excited for you. This has been fantastic. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, we covered everything so easily, and you're such a pleasure to talk to. Thank you for sharing. Uh,
No, thank you, Anthony.
yeah, I
Um,
guess let's wrap it up with just a general, like, I always like at the dinner table to talk about the best part of my day and the worst part of my day.
sure.
So, what's the best part of the program and the worst part of the program right now?
Um, for me personally, I like that every the because the school is really competitive and it's really hard to get into. Everybody that comes to school here is really good. And the fact that we're able to attract a really high quality, high caliber student always makes my day wonderful. The fact that we have a long held tradition of graduating working professionals is really important to me and makes me feel amazing. I love that I can turn on my TV, go to the movies, go to the professional theater and see people that I've recruited and taught. And that makes me feel like a really awesome teacher
You
and a
are.
really
It
awesome
is. It's
uh,
true.
talent recruiter. And so I love that long held tradition. Worst part of my day, um, I could say, I think, because the day is really long, my schedule as a faculty member mirrors my students. And so it's a little hard when I'm on the road, and I don't see my family as much over the course of January and February, while I'm off in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and on campus doing auditions, or when I'm directing a show and I don't get to tuck my daughter in at night. I'd say those are the hard things, but I
Mhm.
love it here, and I love the students, and I love my colleagues, and I can't imagine being anywhere else.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your honesty, and you should be really proud. I think it's not blowing smoke up your ass just to say, it's hard to attract quality faculty. And clearly you've got something really special there. I think students should be really proud to work with you in particular, as well as, like attracts like, you guys have a really strong faculty there, and that's not easy for a drama school to create. So,
Um,
hopefully this new dean keeps it going and takes it to the next level.
Right. It's very kind. Thank you, Anthony. And again, I can't thank you enough for the wonderful students you've sent our way over the years, truly.
Yeah, man, we are committed to helping them, show themselves off as much as possible. And you guys have played with them and gone through adjustments, and I think it's been awesome. So we're just gonna keep supporting everyone.
Great. Well, to your audience, best of luck as you navigate the conservatory audition cycle. And I've been doing this a while, and I'll say like 90 to 95% of you will end up at exactly the right school for you. So truly, and it
Absolutely.
oftentimes will not be the school that you thought it was.
100%. I tell them that all
Yeah.
the time. So
Yep.
perfect note to end on, and
Cool.
we will talk soon, my friend.
Great. You take care, Anthony.
All right, bye, Quinn.